Well, the weekend has come to a close, but we do not end things here. So, as you know, this past Sunday is one of the most bigger events. As you know, we have NXT Heatwave. This one features, of course, championship matches such as, of course, the NXT Tag Team titles. Hank and Tank will defend their championship against two members of Dark State who we don't know who they'll be facing. And then, of course, we have the NXT Championship defended in the main event. Obafemi, the ruler, defends it against the young OG, Javon Evans. But the real question is, can Javon Evans defeat the ruler and rain on his parade? Well, we'll see about that. But however, as you know, in relations to TNA, the TNA Knockouts World Championship will be on the line in a, of course, three-way match. Masha Slamovich, the former champion, of course, Ash by Elegance, who has been determined to win this belt, and then finally, of course, JZ Jane, will she reign supreme? Well, we'll see about that. And then, of course, our final review, I decided to save this one for last, even though there was a time difference. We have the Forbidden Door, the collaboration between AEW and New Japan in London at the O2. This is huge. Now, we do have plenty of championship matches taking place. Of course, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. We even have, of course, the tag team belts, the TBS, the TNT, and of course, we have our main event, which is, of course, the Lights Out Steel Cage match, which is, of course, AEW is not responsible for the individuals involved. We have on one side members of the, of course, of the Death Riders teaming up with Gabe Kidd of the War Dogs, and of course the Young Bucks. They face against Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and of course the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. So that's gonna be an epic battle. So we'll see how things will progress there. And then, as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. I think it's time to go to class. So let's begin with NXT Heatwave. Okay, NXT Heatwave. Now, we all know where this took place, so let's get to it. Our first match is, of course, is the NXT Women's Title #1 contendership. Now, remember, we have 3 competitors who stepped up to plate to be the next competitor for the NXT Championship. We have Jada Parker, Lola Vice, and Kalani Jordan. Now, of course, Jada Parker has been making her way to the top for a while now, and now she has to step up the plate. The obvious question is, how would this play out? Remember, when it comes to 3-ways, it gets a bit tricky because, of course, you don't know how it is, how it's going to end up. I mean, we do see every strength. We have Lola Vice, who has a fantastic MMA background, Kalani Jordan, a bit of a gymnastics background, and of course Jada Parker, well, I can give her the, how do I say this? She knows how to bring the fight to the person. So that's how I see it. But the one thing that was interesting is that Jada Parker had this match won, but Lola Vice was able to overturn it when she put, of course, Kalani Jordan out, and then she pinned her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, our new #1 contender. So that means she will be facing JC Jane. I'm gonna presume that maybe it will be at the next pay-per-view. I think it's No Mercy. I'm not sure. I gotta look back into that. But anyway, let's get started with that. Now, our next match is one of the few championship matches. We have the NXT Tag Team belts. Dark State, as you know, made a compliment statement that they are now gunning for these belts, and they have attacked Hank and Tank recently, well, not too long ago. But the obvious question we ask ourselves, there's only 4 of them and 2 of the current champions. So who will be the ones to step up the plate? I mean, they normally don't tell them who is in fact the one stepping up. Now, we thought it was going to be Sugar because he seemed like he was the most likely person that wanted to step up, but no, it was a trap before the bell even rung. It turned out to be Dion Lennox and Osiris who ended up being the opponents. Now, of course, you got to remember, there's always the number games when it comes to this type of match. Of course, we have the other members, of course, Cutter James and Sugar, outside watching this, and you know for a fact they will do everything humanly possible to ensure this match goes in their favor. But I have to say, Hank and Tank put up a hell of a fight, just long enough to hold it, but unfortunately, it didn't do any good because apparently Hank ended up on the wrong side of the Doomsday device, and then, of course, was pinned by Osiris, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Dark State become the champions. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys will play the free bird rule, as you all know, but it most likely can happen. Now, Lexus King, as you know, had a little nice conversation with Ava because, of course, apparently he blinded Miles Bourne because he was calling him a fraud because he's deaf. Now remember, Miles Bourne, he doesn't need to hear that much. He knows exactly what's going on. So Ava told him next week it's going to be, of course, a blindfold match, which is not good. So basically, we'll see what happens there. Now, our next match is, of course, sanctioned by, of course, by TNA, the TNA Knockout World Championship. JZ Jane defends her championship against 2 of TNA's very own. One is, of course, Ash by Elegance. The other is the former champion, Masha Savage. Now, remember, JZ Jane beat Masha Savage for this match, and the reason we ended up in this 3-way was simple. Masha cashed in her her consensual rematch, but that was, in fact, ruined by Ash by Elegance. And then, of course, Ash wanted to be the one to do it. And then, of course, Masha repaid a favor, so it was decided it was going to be a 3-way. Now, of course, it's obviously that Carlos Silva probably doesn't give a damn who is going to win between both Masha and Ash to bring home the title back to TNA. So obviously that was going to be the case. But unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan for Fatal Influence because Jasmine Nix got caught in a cookie jar taking out Ash by Elegance, and of course both Nix and Henley were ejected out. So basically that's what happened. But because of that, of course, we did see JZ Jane took out Masha Savage with the rolling encore until she was pulled out by both Em and Heather, and giving enough time for Ash to apply the Swanton Bomb on Masha Savage. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Ash by Elegance have won the TNA Knockouts World title, bringing the title home to TNA. So, of course, she's probably going to be happy, but I don't think some of the fans who are not fans of her are going to not happy with that. And of course, this kind of put in the position for the NXT commentary group, like they can't believe it happened. Well, it did. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacy Jayne asked for a consensual rematch. I wouldn't be surprised on that. But we'll see how that rolls up. Now, our next match is a grudge match between Blake Monroe and Jordynne Grace. Now, remember, they started out becoming fast friends until Evolution. Of course, Blake Monroe stabbed Jordynne Grace in the back by costing her the NXT Women's Championship. So that kind of sets it up right there. But Blake Monroe was trying to say that she didn't, because she is ugly, she doesn't earn the right to become the NXT Women's Champion. So, but however, Jordynne Grace was telling her, hey, you were jealous of me because I got the opportunity for this belt. You couldn't stand the fact that I was in fact doing that. So that's what the whole point is. Now, Blake Monroe has been looking forward to running away throughout this entire match. She's trying to escape Jordynne Grace because she didn't want to deal with her, but unfortunately, she couldn't. But sadly, of course, somehow Blake Monroe survived this ordeal and took out Jordynne Grace with the DDT, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Jada Parker, as you know, was out in the back complaining, knowing too well she could have won this match, but Lash Legend decided to get in her face, saying, well, you couldn't get the job done, so I could have done it better. So that was the whole thing, what was going on. So basically, we're going back and forth about this, but, well, that's how things work, but we'll see what happens down the road with them. Now, we did see an interview with Jacy Jayne. Of course, she is not happy with how things were. I mean, the fault goes to Jasmine Nix, and Jasmine is like, oh, don't pin this on me, pin it on her too. So basically, that was the whole thing. Then Lola Vice got in her, telling her that she will be taking her match against her. I believe it was the No Mercy. I think it was No Mercy. But yes, and then of course she had backup, like Sol Ruka and Saria had her back. So that's a pretty good concept to have. Now, our next match is a bit of a, Canada versus the USA. You have, of course, Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele, two former Olympians, challenging Chelsea Green and Ethan Page, our current NXT North American champion. So, of course, as you all know, this whole thing started when Tavion Heights wanted to have a title match for the North American title. But Ethan Page was saying, oh, hell no, you don't deserve this. But, of course, Chelsea Green wanted to do the whole Canadian versus USA thing. However, this match, as you know, we would have assumed it would have gone smoothly for Heights and Steele, but if it wasn't for the Secret Service, Piper Nevins and Alba Fire getting involved, none of it would have happened. But it was, of course, Chelsea Green that took the victory after, Steele was attempting to ankle lock, of course, Ethan Page, but he was not the legal person. But Chelsea Green applied the unprettier, and then just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our main event is the NXT Championship. We have the young OG, Javon Evans, taking on the ruler, Oba Femi. Now, of course, this was a pretty good match. Now, Javon Evans, I give him credit despite the fact that he went after the big dog, because, of course, it's no secret that Oba Femi has been dominant so far since becoming NXT champion. But can the young OG do it? Well, I have to say he could have, but things went out of control when the referee was taken out, and then another one stepped up. And then, of course, Oba Femi tossed him out and landed right in the middle, right in the commentary booth, and just like that. And then, of course, Javon Evans was taken out finally with the pop-up powerbomb. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, the ruler retained the championship. But however, it seems someone is now making a play for the NXT championship, and that is, that's right, Absolute Ricky Saints. So basically, he most likely will be the next person. So we'll see how things will roll up. So I can't wait to what's going to happen this Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we'll end things here with NXT and move on with our last and final review. And that would be, of course, the Forbidden Door. Okay, final review. AEW New Japan Forbidden Door 2025 at, of course, the O2. Now, as you know, this is a very fun event where we get to see the talent coming from other promotions, not only with New Japan. We even got talent also from CML, Rev Pro, Ring of Honor, and CML. You see the whole thing. That's why it's called the Forbidden Door. So let's begin, of course, with the 0-hour matches. The first one we have the Crew, Action Andretti and Leo Rush teaming up with members of the Don Callis family, or should I call it Don Moron family. Josh Alexander and Hichiseto, they take on El Desperado, Paragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, and of course Yuya Uemura, which of course was a very fun match. I have to say that you could tell that the Don Callis family were determined to prove their dominance as always. But the Crew, as you know, they're trying to establish themselves as now probably the upcoming best tag team as they want to be portrayed. But however, as you know, Yuya Uemura was the one who picked up the win when he applied the deadbolt suplex onto Leo Rush, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Uemura picked up the win. However, of course, members of the Don Callis family decided to, of course, be a bunch of losers with big diapers, decided to attack the winners. But we did see, of course, the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii coming out, and he took out Lance Archer. Like, god dang it, he actually took him out. So that is a pretty much good moment right there. Now, our next match, we have the Gates of Agony, Teo Leona and Bishop Khan teaming up with Ricochet. As you know, they have become a faction. We still don't know what their name is. They take on the combine of course, of Michael Oku and Jet Speed, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey. Now, of course, the best moments is, of course, when you have to deal with the bald-headed, of course, of Ricochet, when they give him a head slap. But, however, of course, we did see some dirty tactics coming from Ricochet when he eye gouged Oku, and that gave enough time for the Gates of Agony to apply the Open the Gates, pinned by Bishop Khan onto Michael Oku, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony walked out with the win. Now, our next match, we have an 8-woman tag team match. Megan Bayne teams up with all 3 members of the Triangle of Madness, and of course, Penelope Ford was at toe. They take on Willow Nightingale, Queen Aminata, Harley Cameron, and Chris Statlander. Of course, this was going to be a bloody match that you probably wouldn't expect. Not to mention rivalries with certain people, such as, of course, Queen Aminata dealing with Tekla and the rest of the Death Triangles. Megan Bayne being a much stronger force, but of course, it was Megan Bayne who decided to end things when she applied a running bomb onto Harley Cameron, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see a little bit of a backstage interview with Lexi talking to the Bucks. Well, apparently they're demanding to, of course, talk to the production guy to give them back their old music. Well, we all know they had their share of bad moments in their recent development since losing the EVP roles to Ospreay and Swerve. But we'll see how things will go. Now, as always, Tony Khan has always been welcome to introduce everybody to very special individuals. Dr. Martha Hart, who is the widow of the late Owen Hart, and of course, OJ Hart, the son of Owen Hart. So, of course, we all know we're always happy to see them. I know some WWE fans are butthurt with the fact that they're using the name Owen Hart. Well, sorry guys, that's WWE's fault on that part, because they pissed off the widow. So take it up with them. But I'm sure many of you would probably assume we'll have the next Owen Hart Cup tournament maybe next year. So we'll see what that goes from there. Now, our last match, part of the 0 hour, we have, of course, the AEW World Trios Championship. We have the members of the Bullet Club War Dogs, Robbie X, Drilla Maloney, and Clark Connors taking on the Ops, Katsuyori Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Samoa Joe. Now, of course, the War Dogs are always trying to prove how dominant they are, but when it comes to the Ops, these guys don't play games whatsoever. But it was Samoa Joe who picked up the win when he applied a muscle buster onto Robbie X, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, let's jump into the main card of the Forbidden Door. We have Copeland and Christian Cage teaming up for the first time in many years, taking on Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Now, of course, Killswitch made his return to the family after he was out for a while, But of course, things didn't go according to plan for the patriarchy because Kip Sabian got speared and then pinned by Christian Cage, and just like that, it was over. Now, of course, the person that it was in the exclusive interview, it was foretold by both Shayna and Kip, who was responsible for the loss, was Killswitch. So we'll see how things will go from there. Now, our next match is one of many championship matches, the TNT Championship. Kyle Fletcher defends it against the Time Bomb, Hiromu Takahashi. Now, we all know, for those who don't know or are full aware, Hiromu has been a very standout wrestler, one of the best junior heavyweight competitors, but recently he has been stepping up, taking on the much dangerous heavyweight competitors like Kyle Fletcher himself. That's something, of course, many people would have assumed he would have picked up the win if no matter what he tried to do. But in the end, it was Fletcher who walked out when he applied a brainbuster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the championship. Now, our next match, we have a four-way for the TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné represent AEW, faces against Alex Windsor versus Bozilla versus Persephone, of course. And people, you may have heard, they were chanting Bozilla because everybody might have assumed because of her size, and very impressive. If you guys are big fans of both either Mighty Gold or Stardom, you know what her work was representing, and that's exactly what it was. But somehow Mercedes was able to counter the move from Persephone. Persephone had this match won dead to rights, but somehow Mercedes Moné was able to overturn it and pick up the win. 1, 2, 3. She retained the championship. Now, our next match, this is for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Nigel McGuinness taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Now, this is a battle of the best technical wrestling. Something that, of course, many of you guys, if you guys are not big fans of, this is a style, of course, for me, I've always been interested, because you can tell that you look at guys like Zack Sabre Jr., he's been dubbed as the technical wizard because he can put you in a submission in a moment's notice when he sees that you're about to do something that he knows he can put you in without even noticing it. And of course, you've got Nigel McGuinness, who's been well recognized in that type of category. But of course, you would ask yourselves, will Nigel McGuinness be able to pull it off? Nope, it did not happen at all, because somehow Zack Sabre Jr. was able to find a way and, of course, pick up the pinfall. And just like that, both Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness gained some respect, including Daniel Garcia. So we'll see what happens from there. Now, however, while this match was over, we did turn to the backstage. Queen Amina continues to brawl with Tekla. Things were going out of control from the back all the way to the area of the ramp, but it was the numbers game. Queen Aminata could not, of course, escape the clutches of the Triangle of Madness until Jamie Hayter came back. Now, remember, when Tekla first appeared, she attacked, of course, Jamie Hayter, and I'm sure Jamie Hayter is looking for a little payback. And I have to say, she had a warm return welcome, since this happened in her backyard in the UK. Now, our next match is the AEW World Tag Team Belt in a three-way. We have FTR versus Brodito versus the Hurt Syndicate. Now, however, we all know how this three ways, it gets a little bit complicated. Technically, of course, the Hurt Syndicate doesn't have to be, of course, pinned. But the best moment, of course, many people were expecting is to see Brody King and Bobby Lashley clash. And that's something I think was something we've been expecting for quite some time. But the one thing that was interesting is that these masked assailants showed up out of nowhere and attacked the Hurt Syndicate. And it turned out to be none other than Ricochet and Gates of Agony. It was still unclear why. And then, of course, they decided to take the Hurt Syndicate out while FTR take their moment in hopes they can get their shot. But nope, it was, of course, Brodito that were able to come in with that new move that Brody and Bandito have been using for the last couple of weeks. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new tag champions. Now, you ask yourselves this question. This was shown in exclusive. Why did Ricochet cost the Hurt Syndicate the tag belts? Obviously, there was something that, of course, Excalibur reminded. It has nothing to do with MJF, as people might have assumed. It had something to do when, of course, when MVP was trying to have him recruit to join the Hurt Syndicate. Well, apparently he ripped off the card. So this is revenge for what happened. So I'm sure MVP will love nothing more to take a bit of a measure of revenge against him. So we'll see how that rolls. Now, our next match is for the AEW Unified Championship. Swerve Strickland makes his first attempt against Kazuchika Okada on this. Now remember, this match will follow in the same parameters as the Continental's Classic. If you guys remember, no seconds are allowed. But of course, that snake of the grass, Don Callis, was right there watching. Now he's saying, I'm not going to do anything. I'm broadcasting. Yeah, right, Don. We all know that you like to interfere. Well, he didn't interfere, thank God, because I'm sure someone would have said it's kind of BS in AEW to allow that to happen. But nope, it did not go like that. But however, of course, the injury that Swerve has been dealing with has been taking effect on him, and this allowed for Kazuchika Okada, of course, to use the Rainmaker and take him out. However, while Okada was able to retain the championship, he attacked, of course, Swerve, because of course Don Snake actually said that it's time to take out the chess piece off the board, and that's exactly what they've been doing. And of course, Nana tried to help Swerve, but unbeknownst to them, Warlow showed up and attacked Nana. And then of course the security tried to stop him, and then of course he stopped the security, and it turned out, of course, he's in league with that snake, Don Callis. So sooner or later someone needs to knock out Don Callis. Lights out. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match is for the AEW Women's World Championship. As you all know, Athena won the gauntlet match, the Casino Gauntlet match, in order to get a shot of this title, and she feels that it's her time to become the forever champion for the AEW Women's title, and she wants to prove that Toni Storm is nothing but a fraud, that she will be the one to execute her. But of course, when it comes to Athena, she has Billy Starks by her side, and Billy got involved on multiple occasions. But the last final occasion, she tried to use a chair onto Toni Storm when she knocked her off unconscious. But thank God for Mina Shirakawa, one of Toni Storm's dearest friends and allies, was able to stop her. I'm sure Athena was in bit shock that this happened, but somehow, someway, Toni Storm was able to dodge or counter the O-face that, of course, Athena's been using since she first arrived, and put her in a chicken wing, and just like that, she submitted. It was over. I'm sure we're going to see Athena this coming Wednesday throwing a temper tantrum, so we'll see about that. Now, our next match is for the AEW World Championship. Now remember, MJF had the opportunity to cash in on his, of course, the Casino Gauntlet contract that he won, but he refused to do it. And then Hangman tried to force him. But however, a new stipulation was made that if Hangman disqualified himself, automatically the championship will be moved to MJF. And of course, MJF was being the smartest person on the planet, tried to instigate, of course, Hangman to stoop up his level. But however, things didn't go according to plan, because Mark Briscoe showed up, and then of course security tried to stop him. But this left for, of course, Hangman to use the clipboard that contained the contract, whacking him in the face, then the buckshot lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Hangman retained the championship. Now, our main event is the lights out steel cage. We have Darby Allin, as you know, who made his return after climbing Mount Everest. We have the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. We have Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and of course, the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. But one thing that was funny is when their opponents show up. We had the Bucks, and then of course they try to play their music, and then bop, bip, bop, bop, bop. And of course, it was the greatest moment ever. You know, people were singing along. Kenny was like jamming into it. I thought, that is classic. I have to say, it's one of the best moments I've ever enjoyed seeing. And of course, they're joined by Gabe Kidd, who is a member of the War Dogs, aligned with the Death Riders, John Moxley and Claudio. Now, of course, there was going to be outside help from Yuta, as always. We were expecting that. But I think we saw a lot of carnage in this match, as we've seen over the last few years. But what's interesting is They tried to take out Darby Allin, but one thing I like about Darby, he took out Gabe Kidd in the matter of like, if you're gonna take me to hell, I'm taking you with me. And I don't think Gabe Kidd expected that. But it was Tanahashi who was able to pick up the win when he applied the high five flow on Matt Jackson. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Will Ospreay, Tanahashi, Darby Allin, Kenny, and Kota Ibushi won. However, in the post-match, while this was happening, apparently the Death Riders had other plans. They took out Will Ospreay in the same manner they did to Bryan Danielson. Now, of course, behind the scenes, he's been written off. But of course, we will find out to see what's going to happen, of course. But the entire time, not even Kenny, Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, or Darby, or anybody were trying to get into the cage because Jon Moxley separated them to ensure they wouldn't rescue him. Well, they thought this would be the way to ensure that AEW is safe from people like Will Ospreay. We'll see what happens. But of course, I'm sure Kenny, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin will love nothing more, and the Ops, of course, will love nothing more to get revenge on the Death Riders for what they did. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens this coming Thursday in the aftermath of Forbidden Door. And stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we are officially done with the Forbidden Door. Let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is going to be a very bit of a short one for all of you. Now, our only update when it comes to upcoming events is from House of Glory that will have their upcoming event on the 10th of October. With the Glory comes Pride. It was announced that Killer Kross will take on Matt Cardona. Now, this comes around almost similarity when Karrion Kross helped out Shotzi Blackheart during a GCW event. So you probably know how that rolled up. But yeah, so I can't wait to see what happens. Now, 2 developments have been made. It seems now that the Being the Elite is coming back. As you know, when Matt and Nick Jackson made the decision to take a break from that, they left the whole thing, the BTE to Dark Order, called Being the Dark Order, and that kind of stopped like a few months ago. I don't remember when. They haven't done anything since then, and now it seems they're planning to bring it back. So if there's anything new about that, I'll let you guys know. Now, our final update. As you all know, Karrion Kross is no longer with WWE, but it seems that there's been consideration of AAA to hire him, but there is a problem. Now, some of you might say, why would AAA hire Karrion Kross? For those who don't know, prior before Karrion Kross made his appearance in WWE, he was actually with AAA. This is long before, of course, WWE purchased AAA, and that was the whole purpose. But however, Savio Vega had something to say, and this is something that was mentioned. Let me pull that up for all of you. So here it is. According to what it was foretold, while speaking on script, AAA producer Savio Vega was asked how negotiations would work if the company wanted to bring former WWE talent like Karrion Kross. Now, he explained that everything would still need to go through WWE, since AAA operates under the WWE umbrella and TKO umbrella. The final decision rests with them. Yeah, so the main company, WWE, is everything got to go through them. AAA is under the umbrella of WWE and TKO. They're going to decide who's going to be there or not. So yeah, so basically this could put in a position for Karrion Kross not to be able to work with AAA. I mean, we know they had some standing relationship long before he made his go down in both TNA and then of course WWE. Seems that maybe WWE may not want them, so the ball is in their court. Now, if they don't give him that opportunity to wrestle in AAA, well, that's on them. I mean, I wouldn't hold it against Karrion Kross, but I'm sure he'll probably will do something afterwards. But we'll see. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is on our news updates and call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, Well, I haven't decided yet, but there is a little bit of a snag. I'll be doing some errands too much of the day. I probably won't be able to do a whole lot. Now, if I'm able to do only one review, the one I definitely need to do is the Stardom finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. I may have to do that to keep it into one review only. If that's the case, I have to do. I haven't reviewed it yet um, due to some things, but if that's the case, then I'll do it. But we'll see how things roll. But if everything else I'm considering also hopefully doing a catching up with both Mighty Gold and Tokyo Super Wrestling, and in the other ones that I haven't seen yet. But we'll catch up to those. I'm also considering doing a day where we can do a UK episode because recently Rev Pro did 2 shows in one day, and of course there's the all women's promotion Pro Wrestling Eve that also took place on that very same day. So I may do that. I'm trying to decide when will be the appropriate occasion, but we'll see how that rolls. But until then, I might do Stardom's finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. So we'll see how things will go from there. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang!